do you question the latest SWS or
yes,
latest surveys? Let's start with the SWS survey because there's also Pulse. Just to be very clear about it.
You know,
what's wrong with it?
What's wrong with it is we come up with within a week of one survey saying one thing, we come up with another survey that says quite another thing. And we also have in the country a long tradition of massaging surveys to convince people of a political shift. In this case, the shift of support away from the president. And then the Pulse Asia survey came out saying this is not so.
So there was a massaging of the SWS surveys, that's what you're saying?
You know, I studied statistics in school. It's in what questions you ask, where you go, how you ask them. And even the raw data can be interpreted in many different ways. That's why during campaigns, for example, what we do is we ask for the raw data and interpret it ourselves. Because there are many cross-referencing when you're trying to understand what the numbers mean. So, you know, to have such disparate numbers between two surveys, more importantly is the direction in which is the trend. That really for me is much more important, and they're showing completely different trends. So who to believe?
Do you believe the Pulse Asia survey?
I have to take all of them with a little grain of salt, and we have, as I said, go back to the raw data and study it ourselves and see, okay, what
you just don't take it as is. If they tell us. You
cannot, because even let's say when we're trying to analyze it, even people in your camp, let's say in a campaign, you present them with the same data. There will be slight differences in their interpretation, and I think this is the case here. So until we see that raw data, i.e., what was the target, what was the who were asked, what was the demographic, where were they, what were the questions asked, even in what order they were asked makes a difference. All of these things are very important. So we cannot just say, bang, 15% loss or.
That's why you're saying you're taking it with a grain of salt.
Well, the conclusions. I don't doubt the data, but the interpretations are maybe less objective than they could be.
Before we go on a break, I want to bring this in because Vice President Leni Robredo's numbers also came out. It's the SWS survey. It's a +41 net satisfaction rating, up 5 points from June. Just a reaction on that, sir.
Again, we'll have to see exactly what that means, because that's a conclusion. That is one number that's derived from many bits.
Did you always believe surveys, sir? SWS, Pulse Asia.
Well, again,
are you a believer of surveys,
in general,
whether they're good or bad?
As a matter of fact, as a matter of course, I am a great believer in hard data, and I think, of course, the art is in the interpretation. And you know, to be objective in your interpretation is what's important here. And I don't know that those who are doing the interpreting right now are very objective. I think it's very clear. That's why we talked earlier about destabilization. Maybe this is part of it. We have seen in the last election where 8% of my support disappeared in less than 2 weeks. And we're talking 4 million votes. So 8% immediately just disappeared. And this is a way of setting making the mindset to say that maybe we should destabilize Duterte because he's not popular anyway.
So it's almost as if the timing is suspect to you. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, I think so, because it's very clear that there are, as I said, that there are groups that are working very hard to destabilize Duterte's government. Now, I don't know, maybe this is part of it, but this is all speculation. I'm not privy to their discussions and to their meetings.
We'll be taking another short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines, still to come. Is the Marcos family a victim of fake news? Former Senator Bongbong Marcos will answer that after the break. Please stay tuned. Yun yung The Source on CNN Philippines, still with us, former Senator Bongbong Marcos. Sir, negotiations between your family and the government on returning, sabi mo kahit na anong makita niyo yung pera, sinabi niyo, ino na, di ba? So, any update on that?
None, I'm afraid. There really has, after the initial discussion between the President and Governor Aimee, there's very little has happened of note. So,
are you still serious about pursuing that, though?
We have always been serious. It has always been the family's position that we would like to settle, and I think we need to settle these cases because they have been there for 30 years. What cases do you know of still ongoing after 30 plus years?
But who do you blame for the delay in the 30 years, sir? There's also been extensions, delays from your camp.
I don't think so. I think we're waiting. There are, again, this is part of certain groups to continue this conflict, or to keep this open wound, I see it as, keep it going for political purposes again, and to continue to make the Marcoses the issue. So.
And to settle that issue.
And to settle that, we have said that we have taken a very consistent position in that we will settle anything, and anything that you find we will put a quit claim. We will sign a quit claim on them. A quit claim being that kung mahanap ninyo sa inyo na, kung may makita kayo inyo na.
But what about the question on this? If this happens, sir, this could be a civil case that could be put forward. But there's the criminal aspect. I think that former Senator Aquilino Pimentel said that you cannot evade that criminal aspect. In other words, sir, must there be immunity if there is such a negotiation?
Well, put it this way. Anytime, it's a perfectly well accepted principle in law that if you settle the case is over.
So there is immunity. Just to be clear about it.
No, there's double jeopardy. You cannot try the same case again on the basis of the same evidence. It's a simple. But
that's what he was saying, sir. I mean, you can correct me, sir, because from what I understand, that can be settled civilly but not criminally. He was saying iba naman daw yung criminal aspect, sir.
I'm sorry, my. Again, if you settle the case, it's settled. I don't know if.
So dapat wala ng criminal aspect. That's what you're saying, sir.
Well, for us, like for myself, if I say, well, I am not accused of any of these things, so I don't need immunity. So again, it's really the settling of the cases, putting closure to this.
Okay, so many questions have been asked on how much is the Marcos family willing to settle, how much is the Marcos worth? Can you answer that,
No,
sir?
I cannot. I cannot, because all the documentation, everything that we ever had, any records we ever had, were taken from us. What records we brought to the United States were seized by the U.S. government and given to the Philippine government. We have we have nothing. I landed in Hawaii, all of us landed in Hawaii with nothing but the clothes on our back. So there are no records, there's nothing that we can provide. And it's, I guess, the PCGG, maybe Andy Bautista could have answered this question because he had all of those PCGG companies depositing with him in his little rural bank. But anyway.
Which one are you talking about? Are you talking about
the LDB?
Okay.
I mean, which is a tiny little bank with hundreds of millions, with the corporations that had been sequestered, putting in hundreds of millions of pesos in this tiny little bank that was controlled by close associates of the chairman.
So you're saying that whatever you find, we're willing to give that to you, but you're not able to give us a number or an amount, sir, on how much a Marcos the
We never could. We never could. All we know is that many of these things that were being mentioned are something that are completely unknown to us.
Okay, I'm sorry we don't have time for the fake news aspect, sir. Naubos na yun, but naubos na yung oras natin. Former Senator Bongbong Marcos, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We were able to discuss a lot of issues. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
And we also have a pending investigation, not an investigation, an invite for Vice President Leni Robredo to guest in our show.